less than a month before the Australian Open begins, and right after Carlos Alcaraz's most dominant season. He quietly posts this message online. There is no drama, no real explanation, and no warning. Juan Carlos Ferrero is gone. The coach that he's been with for 7 years, who he's acquired 6 Grand Slam titles with, has achieved world #1 status, and arguably the most important coaching relationship of the post-Big Three era has just ended overnight. And here's the thing, it wasn't a tennis breakup. It wasn't about real forehands or technique or backhands or tactics or whatever. And it wasn't even about results, obviously. It seems that this one was about money, control, and who really has the grip on the Alcaraz empire. And once you dig a little deeper, there's quite a bit to expose. So now, before we go any further, if you love deep dives into tennis politics, uncomfortable truths, and the stories that just never make it onto the broadcast, you might as well hit that subscribe button. Because we don't try to do PR, we try to live in the real, in the now. We really appreciate you for hitting those buttons. Now, let's talk about what really happened. So, on paper, even if you're a casual fan, this split makes essentially no sense at all. Ferrero didn't inherit a broken prospect. He hasn't revived a fallen star. He helped build a monster. 6 Grand Slams across every surface. World #1 at 22 years old. It's the type of coach-player relationship that normally ends with a dramatic goodbye. So when the announcement dropped, a lot of us asked the same question. Why? And that's when Carlos Santos, Alcaraz's first coach, dropped some important information. So, according to Santos, this split has nothing to do with tennis. No disagreements about strategy, no conflict over development, and no real loss of belief. Sure, that makes sense. Instead, Santos said it was a financial issue and a fight over time. The Alcaraz camp wanted Ferrero everywhere, every tournament, every trip, full-time, with total commitment. And Ferrero couldn't give that, or couldn't anymore. In modern tennis, availability isn't just importance, it's also leverage for players. And once that leverage disappears, the coach stops being a partner and starts becoming an employee. And the story gets a little uncomfortable. Santos says what most people are only whispering about is that Carlos Alcaraz's father ended up having the final say. Not the coach, not even the player himself. His father. Santos says that Alcaraz would have stayed with Ferrero as long as Ferrero wanted, but that didn't matter. And Santos has first-hand experience. 8 years coaching Carlitos, gone for the same reason. He wanted certain conditions, Alcaraz's father didn't agree. Ferrero lasted 7 years, Santos lasted 8, different eras, same ending. It's not a coincidence, it seems to be a pattern. And Ferrero's farewell statement included one devastating sentence. I would have liked to continue. So it doesn't seem mutual. And that doesn't seem like closure. It's someone who is ostensibly being politely shown the door. Spanish media later confirmed what the statement implied. Contract negotiations completely collapsed just days before the split. There were significant disagreements between Ferrero and Alcaraz's father about how the player's career should be managed. It wasn't even about tennis. It seems to be about direction. Now, Ferrero is a famously stoic individual, reserved, old school, and Alcaraz, well, he represents joy, freedom, and, does things his way. And if you watch that Netflix documentary, it wasn't even necessarily massive marketing for Alcaraz. It was almost a manifesto. Alcaraz's idea of his own way isn't just about partying, it's about his schedule, his commitment, his structure, and his control. And how much does the family really get involved? Who travels? Who decides what professionalism looks like? Ferrero probably wanted a little more discipline and authority. And we wouldn't be surprised if the Alcaraz camp wanted some flexibility and family. And one of those philosophies has to lose. It's just the nature of it. And it's not like this just started in December 2025. Allegedly back in 2023, Ferrero refused to travel to South America, delegating the tour instead. That sparked a heated argument with Alcaraz's father, one that reportedly had never healed properly. Ferrero later publicly questioned Alcaraz's off-court professionalism, emphasizing focus, rest, and grounding. At the time, it sounded like guidance, but now, looking back, it's almost a foreshadow. And by 2025, take a look at the season. Ferrero was traveling less. Samuel Lopez was traveling more. Alcaraz stopped driving an hour to train at Ferrero's academy, and instead the center of gravity shifted to Alcaraz's own academy run by his father. At some point, the question became unavoidable. Who is going to adapt to whom? The coach or the world number one? And 9 days before Christmas, we got that answer. Now, Carlos Santos believes Alcaraz will be fine, and we think he's absolutely right. The foundation is built, the knowledge is absorbed, the talent doesn't disappear. How much was Ferrero really helping? Well, I guess we'll find out in 2026. But to remember, the tennis history does tell us something. There's only one Uncle Tony. Even Nadal couldn't keep him forever. Coaches and players always split. But this one isn't about decline or results. It's about power. And when power shifts in tennis, well, it rarely shifts back. So the question isn't whether Carlos Alcaraz will keep winning, because he most likely will. The question is this: what happens when the player becomes bigger than the coach and the family becomes bigger than both? That's the dark side of this split. But let us know what you think in the comments below. Thanks for watching.